In episode 7 of Substance TV, we're going to check out Mega Turkan for the Sega Genesis. Then we'll move on to Strider 2 for the Sony PlayStation. And because I love you all so much, I give you Power Stone for the Sega Dreamcast. This is Substance TV. Imagine, if you will, Contra, Bionic Commando, and Metroid all having some sort of weird video game origin. Oh. Now, fast forward 9 months, and the spawn that would be born from said video game indiscretion would be Mega Turkan. From Contra, it inherited the run-and-gun gameplay with weapon power-ups. From Bionic Commando, it inherited the grappling hook. And from Metroid, it inherited the Morph Ball. It was developed by Factor 5, the same fine folks who brought you Rogue Squadron on the GameCube a few years back. The goal of the game? Kill a lot of little enemies, and then kill a really big enemy at the end of the level. Rinse, repeat. The graphics in this game are pretty top-notch. I like all the different enemies and levels. It's kind of got a Contra Hard Corpse look to it, but with robots, so it would be Probotector, which is a whole nother thing I won't get into right now. Game developers today could learn something from Mega Turkan. Notice the game has a very technological feel, but there's no browns or grays all over the place. The game is filled with reds, yellows, greens, blues. It's like a bowl of Lucky Charms threw up all over the game. And it's darn tasty, let me tell you. One of the best aspects about this game is the tight controls. You're never going to play the game and get worried about, am I going to shoot in the right direction, or am I going to jump where I want to, or can I get my grappling hook off? I mean, it just works. Now, I'll have to warn you folks, the game is no walk in the park. It gets pretty difficult as the levels progress, but that being said, it is a beatable game. It's just going to take a little bit of dedication to learning the levels and the boss strategies. Although not my favorite soundtrack on the Sega Genesis, this does a good enough job of driving the game forward without making it too boring or stale at times. Plus, the sound effects complement the game to a T. The game is pretty common. You can usually find one at your local pawn shop or used game store. If not, you can check around the internets and you'll definitely be able to find a copy. I had one minor complaint, and that was the lack of any co-op, because hey, killing things with your buddy is always more fun. Granted, this game will never be on anybody's number 1 or number 2 list of best Sega Genesis games ever, but that doesn't matter. It's still one of the best games and a worthy addition to anyone's collection. Check it out. Strider is one of Capcom's mini arcade classics. And although it's been a big hit, there really hasn't been anything done with the Strider series since. That is until Strider 2. No, not that Strider 2. That's the bad one. Yes, this Strider 2, the one for the PlayStation. And in this installment, Strider's got some new duds, and they look pretty snazzy. Fans of the original will be instantly comfortable with this game. The game was originally developed in the arcades, and then later ported over to the PlayStation. Luckily, the arcade gameplay is very well intact. Although the core gameplay is very similar to the arcade original, there are a few additions which spice things up a bit. The ability to hang and cling on walls and ceiling has been greatly improved and is actually really useful in this installment. This game lets you swing the sword as fast as you can hit the button. See that? As many times and as fast as I can hit that button is as fast as my sword's gonna go on screen. And speaking of fast, the gameplay is just that, fast and frenzied. And while we're on the subject of fast, the levels in this game end way too quickly in my opinion. I mean, you'll be fighting a bunch of enemies and before you know it, level over. I'm like, what, that was the end boss? Level over? Though luckily that doesn't kill the game. Capcom went with a whole 2D, 3D look for this game, and the graphics for the most part are very clean and crisp. My only chief complaint would be that the 3D graphics in hindsight really don't look that good. As I see it right now, the 2D graphics look perfectly fine, but when a game's over a decade old, 3D just doesn't age that well. Aside from that small complaint, the graphics in this game are pretty good. I like the futuristic look they went with, and again, as always, color is very present in this game. The soundtrack is standard Capcom fare. You're not going to be blown away by any means, but it does a nice job of underlying each level. The sound effects, on the other hand, are great. Every sword hit, cling, enemy death, explosion, and a million other sound effects are all very, very nice. The difficulty in this game is kind of ranged, actually. Some levels are pretty easy and you're just going to breeze through, while others are a little more difficult and will induce some controller-breaking moments. As a whole, the game is very beatable for those who enjoy this kind of arcade gameplay. And as an added bonus, Capcom has included a very faithful port of the original Strider. And now to the bad news, and that is the difficulty of finding this game, which is moderately to high difficult. It's very, very unlikely you're going to find this game around town. And if you do, and it's a fair price, pick it up. Otherwise, online is pretty much going to be the only way most of you are going to find it. All in all, I really enjoyed this game. Although not as well known as Mega Man, Strider 2 is a worthy addition to the series, and one you should definitely check out. Capcom has always been known for making some of the best games out there.
But in 1999, Capcom not only created one of the finest Sega Dreamcast titles, not just one of the most amazing video games of the last console generation, but one of the most incredible interactive entertainment experiences to ever be crafted by human hands, not only in the last decade or century, but all time, in not only the world, but in the entire universe.
So, yeah, you could say it's good. Power Stone is basically a 3D free-roaming 2 vs 2 fighting game. As should be expected, there are a wide array of characters, all with different powers and moves. The goal is pretty simple. Beat the other player until they don't get back up. Of course, you've got punches, kicks, and grabs, but you also have a number of weapons at your disposal, from the mundane to the odd. Even your surroundings, like tables or lampposts, can be used as weapons. But there is one other important gameplay aspect which the whole game pretty much revolves around, and it's taken from the namesake of the game, Power Stones. What are Power Stones, you ask? They're these little colored diamonds that pop up on screen from time to time, and your goal is to acquire these Power Stones. Once you collect all 3, your character turns into a super version of themselves. Now at this point, the other character should quickly run away and or hide. Why, you ask? Well, because the other character has a chance to throw off one of 2 super awesome amazing attacks, but hey, that's nothing to worry about, right? Now once your super power bar at the bottom of the screen runs out, you release your Power Stones and the mad dash starts all over again. The graphics are lively and colorful. Each venue is teeming with creativity. The characters are memorable with a unique design. Sadly, the 3D graphics in this game don't age that well. Though, luckily for us, the aforementioned details more than make up for that. Add to that, the game runs at a smooth and crisp 60 frames per second. I have to say I really love the music in this game. Each song sets a great tone for the level. Plus, when someone gets hit, it really sounds like they're just getting it in the face. This game can be moderately difficult to find, depending on what version you're looking for. If you're looking for the Dreamcast version, it may be a little more difficult. If you're looking for the PSP Power Stone collection, you're going to have an easier time finding it. Though, I will warn you beforehand, if you pick it up for the PSP, you do get to play the 4 characters from Power Stone 2 and Power Stone 1, but the game does run at 30 frames per second and takes a little bit more loading time than its Dreamcast brother. I just can't say enough good things about this title. This is one of those games that when me and my friend Eric get together to play games, it's a must-play every time, no doubt. If I could only recommend you one Dreamcast game to pick up, it would have to be Power Stone. Yeah, you know what to do. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of Substance TV. And now for the winner of Gradius 5 from our last episode. And the winner is Mr. Red Cross Knight. Come on down. Well, okay, I guess you can't come on down because it's not a game show, but we'll get in contact with you. And I'd like to say a quick hello to Cecil over at GameStop at Kellogg and West. Good guy and a great friend, and hey, happy birthday to you, man. Well, thanks for watching, and as always, game on.
Yes, sir, it's me. Excellent episode, my friend. You have the gift of the silver tongue. They say it's the mark of a good commentator. Yes, preparations for the next episode are nearly complete. I'm a bit confused about the next 3 games we'll cover. A flying kid who shoots laser beams, a winged girl with a crystal spear, and a boy who battles evil with the help of a bird. Tell me, sir, have you ever heard about Metal Gear? Well, it's about a man who infiltrates an Alaskan... Alright, we'll continue the plan. Till next time, comrade.